Welcome to this week's Real Estate Q&A, and we're going to start off by talking about the lawsuit against the National Association of Realtors as well as other large brokers throughout the country. So our first comment here, if sellers no longer want to pay for the buyer's agent, then get prepared to get less offers, more days on the market, and to get about 3% less on the value of your property, LOL. As a buyer, if I have to pay my realtor, that would mean I have less down payment money and therefore would offer less for the home. And guys, what this commenter is referring to is exactly what could happen if the plaintiffs are successful in their lawsuit. There are several lawsuits filed against the National Association of Realtors. So the plaintiffs in these lawsuits believe that there is an unfair practice going on as it pertains to the buyer's broker or agent's commission. You see, a large majority of homeowners, when it comes time to sell their home, elect to have a real estate broker list their home for sale. Now, the listing broker, through the real estate salesperson or agent, negotiates the commissions with the seller. A percentage of the listing broker's commission is then offered to the buyer's broker, and this is a way that the buyer's agent actually gets paid. According to some of the claimants, they feel that this practice gives the buyers an unfair advantage. For one, the buyer has no say on how much their agent should be paid to represent them, as they feel if they had a say to this amount their agent was being paid, they could maybe buy the house for less money. As they feel the seller has set a minimum price of what they will accept due to the total commission being paid by the seller. Also, there is a feeling that the buyer's agent will pick and choose what property that they will show their buyer, or actually maybe coax their buyer to purchase a specific house based on the amount of commission offered by the seller. Now, the Department of Justice has also been probing around the National Association of Realtors. So let's look at why the division has alleged that National Association of Realtors rules and policies and practices individually and collectively unreasonably restrain trade in violation of Section 1 of the Sherman Act. Here's what their publication, linked below, states. Now, I must mention that I am a real estate broker and a member of the National Association of Realtors, and I'm not an attorney. NAR has promulgated a series of rules, policies, and practices that have been widely adopted by its members, which have resulted in a lessening competition among real estate brokers to the detriment of American home buyers. These rules, policies, and practices include prohibiting multiple listing services from disclosing to prospective buyers the amount of commission that the buyer broker will earn if the buyer purchases a home listed on the MLS, enabling buyer brokers to filter MLS listings based on the level of buyer broker commission offered, and to exclude homes with lower commissions from consideration by potential home buyers, and limiting access to lockboxes that provide licensed brokers physical access to a home that is for sale to only those real estate brokers who are members of NAR. Now, one lawsuit from a plaintiff said that they felt when selling their home, it was unfair to expect them to pay for a buyer's agent to negotiate against them. So to the plaintiff in this scenario, many buyers feel that they pay the listing agent's commission as well as the buyer's agent commission because they feel if they didn't buy the home, there would be no commissions paid at all. So guys, more to come on these pending lawsuits. So this next commenter is asking, is he trying to talk people out of buying homes? I guess he is me. So my videos are designed to educate home buyers and sellers alike. And as someone who has been serving the housing industry in one aspect or another since 1989, I believe that buying a home can be the best, most enjoyable lifestyle choice one makes in their life, or the worst if they're not fully prepared. Also, unfortunately, many home buyers have fallen prey to predatory practices performed by so-called industry professionals, and education is key to protect the public. I am certainly not trying to talk anyone out of buying a home, but on the contrary, I'm focused on helping those that can afford to make a home purchase make proper decisions based on the information that I provide. For example, I don't advise buyers buying a home without a home inspection. Buyers have been so pressured by some so-called professionals to waive all of their contingencies when the specific buyer couldn't afford to do so. Now these buyers are remorseful and going into debt with repairs never expected. So guys, buying a home is definitely a lifestyle choice, but what I'm saying is make sure that you are fully prepared. And what I mean by that is that you are financially prepared to do so. Now, this next commenter says, hi, do you think housing prices will drop at least 30% within the next year? I wish I knew the answer to your comment. I can tell you that in the housing crash of 2008, many statistics show that from the housing peak in 2006 through 2012, home prices dropped nationally anywhere from 10 to 27%, depending on who you listen to. Now, we have never seen price appreciation on housing in the history of the U.S. housing market like we experienced in 2020 through 2022. In some markets, we actually experienced 40 to 50% home price appreciation during this time period. In 2006 to the end of 2008, 30-year fixed-rate mortgages averaged 6%, not the 3% or less that we had in 2020 and 2021. So though home prices did rise steadily from 2003 through 2006, leading up to the massive housing crash, prices never rose like we experienced in 2020. Just look at this historical climb. So the bottom line here is that we know that home prices have never been this high. And now we're looking at 30-year mortgage interest rates that we haven't seen in almost 22 years. And many people say, well, we have such a buyer demand and short supply. And yes, this is true, guys, but most people simply can't afford to buy right now. So I think we can all admit that something has to happen. We either need to see massive home price reduction or massive wage growth. And what happens next in the housing market is going to have everything to do with the overall state of our economy, jobs, our debt crisis, as credit card debt has surpassed $1 trillion in the U.S., and then certainly the amount of inventory that could come on the market from, second home sellers or foreclosures that are just honestly being bailed out right now by our federal government. So for those of you that feel that home prices will only keep going up or that, inventory will stay record low, I guess a lot of this depends on, will the Fed lower interest rates, or will our government continue to print excessive amounts of money and continue to bail out our bad decisions? Obviously, that will have a lot to do with our home prices. All right, so our next commenter said, now anyone that has a mortgage rate with a 5% is not going to be selling anytime soon. My interest is 3%. I'd be a fool to sell, which means the housing supply will stay low. Well, the housing supply has a lot more to do with some of the things that I just mentioned, not just the homeowner's all-time low mortgage rate. But yes, this is affecting home sellers, and in fact, that's why we're seeing more multi-generational housing in the U.S. than we've seen in decades. A lot of these homeowners are doing renovations to their home to add second apartments and finishing off basements so that their family members can move in. But what will it take for sellers to sell when they have refinanced and or purchased in the last several years under 4%? And I guess the bigger question is, should these sellers sell now and pay more for less on their next home purchase? And as for the homeowners that we are seeing sell now, well, this is part of the still domestic migration that we're seeing in the United States. These sellers are getting the heck out of their state, like California and New York, and relocating no matter what the cost. And then finally, we'll take this question. Is this a seller's market? Yes, it is about as close to a seller's market as you can get. It's cooled off drastically since May of last year, but still a great time to sell. Now, you may see less buyers and more buyer contingencies than what we witnessed in the frenzy, but the real question is, where will you go? All right, there you have it, guys. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you liked it, you can hit the thumbs up. It'll let me know that you did. And don't keep this information all to yourself. One way that we can spread the news about what's really going on in the housing market is by hitting that share button and sharing it with your family and friends. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, go ahead and consider doing so now. Hit that alert bell. You'll know every time we upload content just like this. And I love reading your comments and questions, so drop it below, and you never know, you may see it on next week's Q&A. See you next time. Sachs Realty, Maryland broker number 607720, office number 443-318-4514, equal housing opportunity.